Welcome, everyone, to the next episode of the Search Off the Record podcast. Our plan is to talk a bit about what's happening at Google Search, how things work behind the scenes, and maybe have some fun along the way. My name is John Mueller. I am a search advocate and the search relations team here at Google in Switzerland. And today we thought we'd do a kind of a special episode all about the Google Search Central launch that we did a while back. And for that, we have a part of the core team here to join us today. In short, we have Lizzie, Cherry, and Gary here. So let's do a really short round of introductions, maybe in reverse alphabetical order, just to keep things simple. All right, who's going to start? I think we'll start with Lizzie.
Wait, how does the alphabet work again?
It's a reverse order, Lizzie.
So what does that mean?
That means you're first.
Okay, well, I'm Lizzie, and I work at Google, and I write documentation.
Where are you located, Lizzie?
Mountain View.
Mountain View.
California.
Wow, cool. In the headquarters, of course. Okay. And then we have Gary. I don't know if any of you on the podcast have met Gary before.
Hi, I'm Gary, and I'm doing Gary things. Meow.
Okay, fine. I'm sure that's very explanatory for everyone. Cherry, how about you? Can you introduce yourself briefly?
I'm not going to meow, but yeah, hi, I'm Cherry. I'm a search advocate in John's team.
Cool. And where are you located?
Well, I'm based in Singapore, like my own headquarters, far away from everybody.
So cool. Okay. Yeah, it's like you three were all working on this fantastic kind of site change that we did over to the Google Search Central new documentation center. I don't know. It still feels weird to call it that. But anyway, so how did all of this start? Like, how did you come up with the idea that we should just change everything around?
Well, it started at the beginning of this year, I guess, when I met Cherry when she joined our team in Mountain View, actually. She came all the way over here to go to this conference, and I wanted to work on something with her.
Aww.
So I convinced her that I had like a crazy idea and I needed a partner on it, and she listened to me. I don't know why.
So cool. And where did you come up with this idea? Like, what spawned that idea? Is it basically you're just bored and feel like changing things around, or?
Yes.
Yes.
Basically.
Okay.
I just love work.
Okay.
I would pass it to Cherry. Cherry, why don't you talk now?
I'm supposed to talk now? Well, okay. So, yeah, I met with Lizzie, and I don't know if you know, but I've been working in search for a while too. So I also know there's some problems. Well, not really a problem, but like some opportunities that we can tackle. Yeah, so when I met Lizzie, it was just nice. Like things fall into place. We started discussion mostly on like a paper plate during one of the lunch. We ended up like skipping all the sessions and like kept talking about this project. And I think that's how we started these things.
Okay, so the master plan is on a paper plate somewhere.
Yes.
Yes, I framed it. It's in my office.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's a relic.
The famous paper plate.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to come and visit that when we can travel again. I don't know. So cool. And what were your goals there? I mean, you mentioned that there were some problems, Cherry. Like, what kind of problems did you see with the old setup?
Well, from what I noticed or what people told me, at least like at conferences and all that, is it's a little bit hard to find information. Like we have a lot of resources, but like there are a few places that people can find them, but there isn't like one place that I can get everything. Also, one of the other thing is that sometimes it's also difficult to find things that's related to certain audience group too. Like if you're a developer, then maybe that's easier for you. But if you're someone who's like hybrid or like have a few other different roles, then that might not be as easy for you to understand the resources and easy for you to find these stuff. On blog also, I think we have a lot of languages and all that. And Lizzie came up with a really good idea to also centralize all these things in one place, which,
Cool. Yeah. So the main goal was kind of to combine all of the things. Would that be a good way to frame it? Or how else would you, I don't know, give a brief overview of the project overall?
In one of our initial decks that we made, there's a slide that says one ring to rule them all. So I think that would be how I would summarize it.
Okay. kind of have fewer copies of the same content out there. And I guess that makes it easier to maintain as well. But isn't that also bad for SEO if you can't like fill out the search results with your own content? I don't know, Gary. What do you think?
I don't think. That's not what I'm here for. I'm just doing Gary things.
Oh man, just Gary things. Okay. Yeah, I kind of like how we managed to pull all of these different things into one place to make it easier also for people to find the content, easier for us to maintain. I think it also probably makes it easier for localizations, right?
Yes, definitely. I mean, the fewer pieces of content you have, the easier it is to localize it. And we are quite an international team. I don't know, I think we speak over 13 languages in total across all of us. And we do care a lot about localization. So the easier it is for us to localize content, the better, and ultimately better for the users. And we did have major problems with localization due to the fact that we were spread out on so many different platforms like Blogger, Help Center, and developers.google.com, which I'm going to call DevSite for short.
And the fourth one, the Kintaro weird place.
Oh, yeah. And we had Kintaro as well, which was the google.com/webmasters and everything below except the tool itself. So we had lots of things to localize, and it was all different platforms with their own quirks. It was a smallish nightmare for us to localize things. Like, for example, with Blogger, when we published something in English, or even before we published something in English, we had to send out the English copy for localization and then find all the blogs where we had the localized blog and upload a copy there as well. That was all manual work, and it took up quite some time to publish on those localized blogs the English content. And with this move to DevSite, we don't have to do that anymore. Basically, everything happens in just one place, and we don't have to deal with localization pretty much at all.
And with one of the places, google.com/webmasters, we couldn't update the localization at all. They had moved to a different platform and we didn't follow them there. So it was actually locked and we couldn't update that site at all.
Oh, wow.
Which was kind of crazy.
Okay. This sounds like typical big company problems, like so many different silos and setups separately. I guess Google has those things as well, like any other kind of bigger company.
So I don't know if it's just a big company problem, because back when I was doing webmaster things, then we definitely had, for example, shop, blog, and the main site. And those were typically different platforms. Like, for example, you were using WordPress, or blogging, you were using, I forgot what the cart was called, but a different software for the shop itself. And then we had probably some HTML custom stuff for the main site. And then if you had to localize those, then you would have to do that in different ways. And it was not a big site. It was just a small site, but it had the same problem that we had.
No. Okay, so we have to deal with the hard part of the web like everyone else. No magic cures just because we're at Google. No machine learning that solves all of our website hosting problems.
I want to quit.
But we did use Python, right?
Yes, we did use Python extensively, and lots of shell scripting. So one thing that we had to do was pulling in content, for example, from all the different places. And my initial idea was to use Googlebot because, well, I work on search, I worked on Googlebot, so why not use Googlebot? But then, well, external folks wouldn't be able to use Googlebot. So it felt kind of unfair to just use Googlebot and have it solve everything for me. So I actually wrote a smallish crawler, essentially, in Python that was using the normal URL fetch library or the URL library and Beautiful Soup, which is another library, to basically just extract crawl the URLs that I specified and then extract the parts of the content that we were interested in, which in case of the Help Center, it was basically just the article body we didn't need the navigation, for example. In case of Blogger, it was different because there we could just take the feed, basically just create an export of all the content and just use that, basically extract from the feed. So yeah, it was fun. We had to do lots of weird shell magic to replace certain things, for example. And for that, I had to go down to the deepest caves of hell and dig up my regex knowledge.
Regex or regex?
I still want to quit.
Continue.
Thanks, regex. What a whirl. What? Oh. So for that, we had to create lots of regex patterns with which we could match across different languages and different files, essentially, and just replace or remove certain things from the raw HTML. That was kind of fun and painful, and I only thought a few times about stabbing myself with a spoon.
Well, for me, it was like pretty magical because I didn't understand how you were even doing it. I would just ask you for stuff like, please fix this. And is it possible to fix it across like 18 other languages? And then it would happen like the next day. So for me, learning all about this is very interesting.
Yeah, on this side, it was more like sitting in front of the computer and taking a spoon and trying to stab my brain with it.
Well, I like being on this side. It's kind of nice. I don't have to do that.
I'm glad to hear that, I guess.
So cool. Yeah, I mean, over the years, when you look at a platform like Blogger and the way that we used it in the past, it just collects a lot of different cruft. So I remember, I think almost from the beginning, we would copy and paste the blog post from Google Docs, and copying and pasting from there includes all kinds of weird HTML formatting if you don't pay attention. So that's got to be...
Or like you forget to copy the title of the blog post into the thing that you upload, and then it comes back without a translated title, which is awesome. And then you have to do another request just for the titles.
Oh, yeah.
Who would do that?
I did that a few times, yeah. I don't know. Are you talking about me or...
No, I'm talking about me.
Yeah, okay. I mean, we'll miss all of these weird quirks. It's like, it'll all just be so smooth in the future. Anyway, talking about Blogger, like, how did you set up those redirects? I looked at that once with my own blog, kind of trying things out on Blogger initially, and I couldn't make it do redirects like that. What did you do?
So Blogger is special from the perspective of redirects. Like if you want to redirect the whole site, then that would work relatively well. But then if you need to do one-on-one mapping with certain URL changes, so for example, you have to drop the .html from the end of the URL, then suddenly that will not work. And you don't have that many options. One thing that we were suggested was to get in touch with the Blogger team, and they can probably sort out the redirect for us. But then again, that felt kind of weird because external folks wouldn't be able to do that. They wouldn't be able to get in touch with the Blogger team and get some special treatment. I don't know why I'm air quoting here because no one can see it. But people wouldn't be able to do that. And so I decided that, well, I had a meeting with Gary and we decided together that we are just going to initially to do meta redirects because that would generally work better from indexing perspective because indexing doesn't have to interpret the JavaScript first to understand that there's a redirect going on. But then Blogger was protesting quite loudly about the meta redirects. It didn't like it at all. So I had to fall back to, well, JavaScript, which is my favorite language on earth.
Sure.
And I had to write a short JavaScript script, which would redirect based on the URL path to dev site, basically matching up the URL structure. That was one thing that we paid a lot of attention to, basically maintaining the URL structure for the blog part of dev site. And I think it worked out really well.
So cool. And also on the blog, there's the feed, but I guess people don't use RSS anymore, right? So we probably just dropped that, right?
And you're wrong. You're just as wrong as I was. I ran a quick survey on Twitter and on Reddit asking people whether they use RSS still. I don't. I only recently got reintroduced to RSS thanks to Lizzie, because she's using some weirdo plugin that she can use to subscribe to feeds or check out feeds or something. I don't actually know.
I just wanted to subscribe to my own feed. So I found this plugin to do it because it's complicated.
Oh, well, it's your fault that now I also have it. So anyway, so the feed, yes. Initially, I was hoping that we would deprecate the feed and say bye-bye to RSS. But then once I saw how many people actually use RSS still, I kind of convinced Gary and myself to port over the RSS as well to DevSite. But it turned out that it's a smallish nightmare.
So no JavaScript?
Why is it a smallish nightmare?
Well, so coding up or scripting up the XML for the RSS is not that much of a problem. It's fairly easy to create an actual working RSS feed, but that would be static. So you need something that updates itself. Now the dev site, due to how it works, due to the infrastructure, you can't have dynamic files. So every single time we publish something, we have to add the newly published something to the feed manually. So that's a step back from what we had on Blogger. But of course, over time, we are going to fix that. It's just going to be rather complicated from coding perspective. And then, of course, we also had some screw-ups with migrating the feed.
Wait, you messed something up?
No, it was Lizzie.
It was Lizzie. Okay.
Thanks for that.
Sure, anytime.
What happened? I didn't even notice.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Other people noticed.
Other people. Well, I think that's kind of the nice part about writing for SEOs is they watch out for every move that you make. And if you get something wrong, they will tell you about it. You almost don't need to watch out for things yourself.
And they tell you promptly.
So what went wrong?
So, I mean, I've been dealing with RSS like a decade or so ago. I completely forgot about GUID, which is an indicator for feed readers that some specific item in the feed, they already aggregated or processed. We, as in Gary and I, wanted to have a simple feed. So we opted for not having GUID in the new feed, which meant that when we ported over the most recent items from Blogger and we put it in our new feed, and we remapped FeedBurner to the new feed URL, then suddenly everyone got notified about the new blog URLs. But of course, the new blog was not live yet. So everyone accessing those links from the FeedBurner feed led to a 404 page, which I should add that not that useful 404 page. So the experience was kind of, I don't know what the right word is. Suboptimal?
Bad.
Bad.
Very bad.
Okay, we can be direct here.
So why did we think it would be okay to do this? Why did we do it this way?
What do you mean? Because you told me to.
Okay. That's fair. I didn't think anything would happen. I thought it would be fine to...
Yeah, me too. Okay. I will take the blame. It was my fault because I should have thought of the GUID. I forgot about GUID. I'm getting old. I can't be blamed. Don't be an ageist.
The other thing that I thought was kind of cool on the new site is Googlebot's new companion. We now have a spider. So what's up with that? Like, how did the spider come to be?
So Googlebot has been around for a long time. We think maybe Googlebot could feel a little lonely all this while. We started talking about having a sidekick or friends or a pet for Googlebot. From there, I think Lizzie and I spent days of bonding time picking which type of animal. Well, it's more like months, right, Lizzie?
I think, yeah, maybe like 2 months. I don't know. This was like our pet project, if you will. No? Is that too far?
It kept us happy. Like, yeah, all those months. Yeah, and the credit goes to Lizzie. She picked the spider. I had a few more different weird animals in my mind.
Do you want to say what they were?
Maybe not.
Say it.
But there were a few of them. But yeah, after sticking with the spider, I actually spent days looking at different breeds and types of spider as well, which was like weirdly very fun actually.
Wow. Okay. Do you think there are going to be other pets in the future? It's like Googlebot has a spider now. Next week he'll have a python, or is this going to grow over time?
I wanted more than one, remember? Like you people stopped me from like this bizarre thing. Like, I always wanted more than one.
Okay.
Is that still like not confirmed? Can I still have more than one?
It's not confirmed. It's not a hard no, but it's not an enthusiastic yes either.
Okay, well.
I think it would be cool that when we have some bigger launch, for example, then that launch is joined by a new friend.
Right, so more pets, more friends. Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Now, first we have to do more launches, more big launches. And then it's like if we, I don't know, have a core documentation update, then maybe we could do it then.
Is this like a reward system? Like we work hard and then we get a pet, a new friend?
But you have to keep it. It's like you can't just like swap out pets. That's the hard part. It's like life.
We're going to keep them, keep all of them. We're not going to swap them out.
But don't worry, we'll take care of them.
Yeah.
Does Googlebot like cheese?
I don't know. It depends.
It depends.
Do you like cheese?
No,
You don't?
it's like, I don't know. Well, what about the name of the spider? It's like you give Googlebot a pet, but you don't give it a name. Like Googlebot has a name. What's up with that? No comment.
Well, that's awkward.
No comment. It's like, this is off the record.
It's
Come
too
on.
painful. It's too painful for us to talk about because we got so wrapped up into this.
Yes. That's like another month of us.
Okay.
Yeah, about the name.
Yeah. Coming up with a name, like naming our child.
Yeah.
And getting denied many times by the legal team.
You were very excited with the unborn child and like the name. And then, yeah, it is hard.
And then Gary didn't like it? Gary didn't like the names, or what was the problem?
Hey, now.
No, Gary was supportive, actually. He liked the names. It was the legal team.
Hey, don't make me sound nice.
Okay, fine. You hated it.
Okay. But it's like there's still an option that the spider will get a name at some point. Or is it permanently without a name? The spider.
No, we are still like trying to come up with something. We just couldn't do it in time for launch. So we are open to suggestions and we are still thinking hard about it.
Okay.
But nothing more to say at this time.
Okay. Cool. Then I guess about the name in general, like the Search Central name, what went on to come up with that name? Why didn't we just like pick Webmaster Central and go with that? It's like pretty much the same thing, right?
No,
No.
it is not the same thing.
Yeah, I think like from what I recall along the way there, one of the things that we noticed is fewer and fewer people associate with the name Webmaster. And so it felt kind of archaic almost to focus on Webmaster as an audience when nobody calls themselves Webmaster. So I remember I asked at a conference back when we had normal conferences what people thought they would call themselves, if they're like SEOs or developers or webmasters, and lots of SEOs in the audience, lots of developers and webmasters, like very few people raising their hand. So I think at some point it just kind of made sense to kind of pivot away from the name Webmasters and try to find some new name that we could use. And there's so many people involved with making websites nowadays. So focusing more on the search side kind of made sense.
Yeah. That was one direction we tried to explore, like when we were coming up with options, like is there a name that would summarize all people who work on websites? And we just couldn't come up with one term. It would be like a very long name, like 10 words long probably. So we decided not to do that, which I think is good.
Yeah. I think that's also kind of reflected on the new homepage. When you look at the homepage now, it's not developer focused and not purely kind of like old school webmaster focused. You can kind of pick which track almost you're interested in. Is that something that was also a part of the goal from the site there?
Definitely. That was something that Cherry actually did a lot of work on. Cherry, do you want to talk about how you discovered the learning paths
Oh,
for the site?
sure. Well, we looked at the user journey. And we started looking at persona as well. So the simplified version of the persona has like 5 types of them. And then we also look at common task, things that these persona or people like to do. We know some people want to come in and explore more. We know some people come in to fix stuff. Some people come in to look for contact or like trying to get in touch with us. We know that some people come in to fix stuff, for example. And then we look at how we are currently basically supporting them with all these tasks, right? Like, for example, if they're looking at fixing certain things, some people search for things specifically and they would already land on specific help center articles, for example. Then we know that we have to cater our homepage, for example, to the audience that's looking to learn more and more generically, not like learning about certain things, because then they would be landing on a certain page already. Yeah.
I felt like that really helped us narrow down what we were doing with the homepage, because when we were first starting the draft for it, was like, we put so much on there. Like, how do we narrow it down? There's so many things that we could put here. Should it summarize everything that we possibly have on the site, or should it focus on a specific type of user? And I think in the end, we decided it should be for brand new people, because we thought that people who know exactly what they're trying to do, like, oh, I want to add structured data to my site, like they will just search for that and go to that page. And our homepage should be more for like, you don't know what you're doing at all. Okay, here is a very quick overview and get started link.
Yeah, so cool. Have you been able to track how people are using that so far, or is it still a bit early days for that?
Still early days. I think right now we have 2 weeks of information. Like, it's much better. Before, on the dev site, our homepage was position number 20 in terms of views, and now it is like the number 1 page, which feels appropriate.
Okay. So you're less focusing on the rankings of the homepage in search and more comparing it to other parts of the site.
I don't know what the right answer is, but that is what I was looking at.
Okay. Definitely makes sense. I don't know, talking about rankings, did you guys end up doing any SEO for the site?
Funny you should ask that, because I think John on our team was looking into SEO.
I'm sorry, who?
Oh, who could that be? Yeah, so awkward. Ask myself questions. Yeah, it's, I guess, one of those things that I always thought would be useful for us to, on the one hand, get help with regards to SEO so that we kind of follow the public best practices, and also to see how SEOs tend to work. So one of the kind of unique things we did with this project is to get some help from the SEO team at Google, who works together with some external vendors. And we decided, instead of us kind of using our internal knowledge to do SEO for the site, which I think wouldn't be fair and wouldn't be in line with all of the other things that we did, where we tried to essentially do things like any person externally would be able to do. We decided to take their input into account. And I thought that was pretty insightful. So we get a lot of input on the site moves, things that we need to watch out for. They're monitoring it with their SEO tools, all of the usual things. And one of the other things that we got some help with was keyword research, which I thought was kind of unique because we never did anything like that. How were your experiences with that, Lizzie? You were involved there a bit.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting just to see like how they compiled the words. And for me, like, I write and I feel like I have a library of go-to terms. So it was interesting to see like, oh, here are some potential new words that you are not using. What do you think about them? But there were also some words that were like awkward for us to use, or maybe we don't want to use that kind of phrase. There were some suggestions for like SEO workshops. And like they suggested the word workshop, and like our events aren't workshops. So it felt like this is the wrong meaning, but it was the keyword that they were suggesting to use. So stuff like that was interesting to consider.
Yeah. Okay. So didn't always follow all of the advice from the SEO team. I mean, it's kind of a tricky situation for them because they're kind of basing the advice that they give us based on the advice that we give them. And it's almost kind of circular. I don't know. But I thought overall it's been pretty insightful to work together with them. So that's been pretty cool. What are some of the cool or weird quirks that you ran across while doing these migrations across the different sites? Gary, anything weird or cool come up on your end?
Yeah, me.
Oh, you ran across Gary. Well, I mean, he's been on the team for a while, so not particularly new.
I'm trying to think about weird things, but there were many things that were weird, but from our perspective, basically because of the infrastructure that we are using. Like, for example, getting all the content in from all the different sites, that was already kind of weird and probably would have done differently if I had to do it on a different platform, because there you would probably have access to all the databases and you can just pull from the database directly. So that was definitely weird. My screw-ups, they were weird because,
it always happens.
I can do weird screw-ups and I'm proud of that. Like, for example, Lizzie was telling me for the longest time to import the localized titles from the Help Center articles, and I kept postponing it because, well, it's a small task and I just didn't feel like it, I guess. I was just pulling a Gary, and I always had something more interesting to do. So yeah, I was just procrastinating, and then at one point we decided to enable the redirects on the Help Center, and then we enabled the redirects, and the next day Lizzie was like, okay, so titles. And I'm like, yeah.
I think you need to back up and explain what happened with the titles. Like, how did we get here?
Right. Okay, fine. That was another Gary moment where I was fixing something in the English version of the content, and I did a sweep across all the languages and basically just swapped out all the localized titles to the English titles. So basically in Hindi or in German, the title of the article would be in English because, well, hi, I'm Gary.
No. Like what it was there was two titles in every page. There was the English title and then the localized title. And then you removed the localized title for some reason that I don't know why. So then we were only stuck with the English title.
There you go. Okay.
Okay.
Again, I'm old, so my memory is not as good as it used to be. Also, my memory is not as good as it used to be.
Yeah. A lot of these things, I guess, just come in because we have so many different platforms and so many weird quirks across the platforms. One of the things I noticed is that at some point over the years, a lot of the images in the really old blog posts disappeared. So that was also something that I've been meaning to fix for a while. And then I put together some Python scripts because, of course, Python. And I didn't use any machine learning either because I will teach the machine using Python. And I pulled up the archived versions of all of those images and embedded them again and rehosted them. And I think when I sent that away to get reviewed, Gary was like, oh, I was also doing this. So we almost got the old images back twice. That would have been really weird.
It would be really awkward if we were a communications team and we didn't communicate with each other. Wouldn't that be weird?
Okay, fine. I will send you a tweet the next time I start doing something.
Oh, that would be greatly appreciated.
Anyway, why didn't all of these changes happen at once? It sounds like a lot of things took place over time. What's the reasoning behind that? Is it just like things got broken or went wrong, or was there a plan?
Well, I think a little bit of both. So there was a plan. Yeah, crazy. I did have a plan. It was intentional for us to do it across the span of a week. So we wanted to make the announcement on our existing blog that we were changing our name and that we were going to move the blog. And then we wanted to wait a week to then actually move it in case something went wrong with the RSS feed. Like we wanted to make sure that people were notified about what was happening. And then we also wanted to wait with the Twitter name change. We wanted to announce that we were changing our name and then an hour later actually implement the change so that people weren't like surprised. But that was one of the surprising reactions for me, because that was like the main comment that we were getting like on our announcement tweet that we changed our name. They were like, you dummies, you didn't change the actual Twitter account name. Like, why don't you do that? And I thought like, oh, it would make sense. Like people will be confused if it's changed like right away. Like we should wait an hour and give people time to like read the announcement. And apparently they did not need time.
People are impatient. Yeah. And kind of the split with the blog posts and moving the articles, that was also planned?
Yes. Right. So I wanted to wait a week to like announce that we were moving and then actually move the thing. We planned to do it on a Wednesday, and we did part of it. We were waiting for some help to update the RSS feed link in FeedBurner. And that didn't happen until like too late in the day. So we decided, okay, like we'll just move everything and like publish the announcement the next day, which was a mistake because we didn't realize that it would email everyone like that night with this long email with all these like 404 links that like, oh, these pages are not there, which was amazing because then people were tweeting and emailing us, oh, this is embarrassing. You guys sent this email and none of the links are clickable. Fun. And then we were racing to like fix it the next day to like publish the pages. And then like many things happened that morning, but I think it all ended up okay.
Yeah. I mean, luckily we have all of these SEOs out there that know what to watch out for and that let us know as quickly as possible. It's almost like we don't need to do any monitoring on our side.
Well, I would like to do the monitoring so I don't get embarrassed. I don't like that feeling.
Cool. Wow. It's like so much stuff here. Would you do it again? Was it fun?
Definitely. This is like the best project that I've ever worked on. No sarcasm.
Okay. But we're going to keep it in this location for a while first, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Whew.
I heard that Sundar requested that we move.
No, I didn't.
Don't hurt me like that. Ugh.
I think we should keep this location for a while, at least until everything is ironed out and working well. So one of the things that I noticed is we moved the site move guidelines as well with a lot of the documentation. Did you end up following those guidelines, or what was your take on it, Gary?
No.
We make all of these guidelines, so much text, and you're like, no.
That's correct. And that's because our infrastructure is different enough that we were just not able to follow it. Some aspects we were, like, for example, monitoring the change. But, for example, putting up the site beforehand, that was just not possible for us. Again, with redirects, basically we had to go with what we had at hand. Like, we don't have a magic htaccess access where we could, for example, set up 301 or 307 or 309 redirects. We actually had to do the JavaScript redirects on Blogger. We didn't have any other choice. And basically we followed what we could, although inadvertently, I don't think that we actually read it. Well,
I did.
Well, you wrote it, so
I had to rewrite it, so... That was kind of weird to do that a few weeks before, like, we were, like, launching, like, rewriting the site move, and then me having, like, a panic attack. Are we following these guidelines? We're working on this right now. Like, are we actually doing it by the book? Is this the book we're writing?
Yeah.
Pretty weird.
Well, the answer was no, we are not.
No, yeah. Right, so it's fine. But I did freak out about it.
I guess those guidelines are a little bit more the best practice guides. Like, ideally, when everything goes well, you can follow these things. And especially if you're moving from one domain to another, it kind of makes sense.
Right.
But
yeah, I think one of the things was like, oh, try to do this on the weekend when things are like slower. And it was like, we don't want to do that. That would be not good. If we did that, we want to be like available if like things are broken.
Yeah, we generally can't, or we shouldn't launch anything on weekends. That's a Google-wide thing, in fact. Except, well, weekend as in also from local perspective. Like, for example, Tel Aviv can launch on Sundays because that's their Monday, essentially. But otherwise, we shouldn't really launch anything or make massive changes on weekends because then you don't have the supporting teams there to help you out if something goes wrong.
Cool. It's been a really fantastic launch to watch, to see how everything gets ready and how most things ended up getting launched properly and nothing really seriously went wrong. So I thought that was pretty cool. Thank you all for your fantastic work there. Anyway, thank you all for joining us here as well, folks. It's been lots of fun doing these podcast episodes. I hope you, the listener, have found them both entertaining and insightful as well. And let us know if there's something kind of different that you'd like us to cover here as well. Feel free to drop me a note on Twitter or chat with us at one of the virtual events along the way. And of course, don't forget to like, subscribe, and update all the links to our site, please. Thank you, and bye.
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 Meow.